every single house we went into, they absolutely loved it and didn't want to buy it. And so like weekend number one came and went, and I couldn't quite figure out like what the story was. I mean, maybe they were just excited because they were new home buyers, and so they were going out into the world, but they loved everything, but they didn't want to buy anything. Well, weekend number two, the same thing happened. And weekend number three, halfway through, the same thing started to happen again. And I thought, okay, something is wrong here. I can't quite figure out what it was. There was just this absolute elation over every single house, even the really crappy ones. And yet they weren't pulling the trigger. And so I finally stopped them and I said to them, hey guys, I want to have a quick conversation before we head to the next house. And I want to remind you of a very simple fact. And that fact is that I don't personally own any of these properties. And so your feedback on the properties that I don't own and don't have a personal connection to is really important to be able to help me help you move forward. And as soon as I said that, it was incredible. Their shoulders kind of went down and they looked at each other and gave a big sigh and said, oh, well, thank you for saying that, because we have hated everything that you have shown us to date. We just didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Okay, so why am I opening our time together with that story?
Because they obviously didn't know you very well.
Because I don't own Command. I didn't create Command. Command is a system being provided to all of us by our franchisor. We don't get points or praise or pennies or dollars or anything if you use it or you don't use it. Instead, what I wanted to just kind of set the stage with today is what we believe about Command based on the people who are using it at a high level. And that's not just the people that we have in our market centers, some of whom you'll hear from today. That's people across the country, mega agents with $1-million teams, with multi-million-dollar GCI teams, utilizing this system and this platform at a really high level, right? And so we want to just make sure that your feedback is simple and honest, right? Don't hold back. Tell us what's bothering you so that we can help you address it, right? Because we think we have, between our panelists and our staff members and the resources we have available to us, we pretty much have an answer or a solution for you to almost anything or everything at this point, right? So a couple of stipulations. Number one, Command is not perfect. No system is. Those of you who are old Top Producer people, they'll tell you, Top Producer was not perfect, right? Online Agent, not perfect. Mojo, not perfect. Command, not perfect. So perfection is not what we're seeking here. Number two, this is not the same system. This is not the same Command from 6 months ago, right? So some of you are tuning in today thinking, okay, I'll tune in and hear what these people have to say, but I'm not going to change anything because I know what it's like, because I last logged in February and I was irritated, right? This is not the same system that it was 6 months ago. There are bumps and glitches and annoyances that still exist. And Jackie's going to talk with us a little bit later about some bumps and glitches strategies that she's uncovered to help you through some of the bumps and glitches. And yet they're still there, right? Part of the reason we address it is because some of you have said the bumps and the glitches are what's preventing me from moving forward. And we're here to offer today that there are so many more pros that you're not getting to because of the smaller bumps and glitches issues, that we want you to see the really good stuff so you can push through with strategies we'll lay on the table for you today through the small annoying stuff, right? You don't have to use Command for everything. As a matter of fact, you don't have to use Command at all. You will have to use it, however, to upload your documents for compliance and eventually create commission requests, right? So you can't ignore it completely.
Rick, can I ask?
And so I'm going to ask that everyone hold their questions for just a second or use the chat box, and then I'll circle back. I just haven't gotten there yet. Last stipulation. This is not a DocuSign conversation today. We are focusing on command. Dan has done a couple of DocuSign classes called DocuSign is the Devil. If you haven't plugged into that, you're missing great information on moving DocuSign ahead light years at a time. So plug into that, either watch for his next class or go to the YouTube channel and dive into to the repeats on that. And lastly, what I'll say is we all feel a certain way about this system. That's okay. No one's telling you not to feel the way you feel. What we're here to do today is create perspective. We want to give you perspective based on people who are using it at a high level, how they're using it at a high level, and how we can help you move through some of either your frustrations or preconceived notions, because both will exist today, right, about moving you to the next step. Everyone's at a different phase. We're looking to take you from where you are up one step. We're not necessarily looking to push everyone across the finish line all at once. So it's how can I be better today and tomorrow and the next day than I was yesterday. So if we can all just stipulate to those things, let's do like a collective thumbs up. I get it. We're all just agree on those things, right? Then we can have a really positive and productive conversation. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start out with our panelists. Right? I'm going to tell you who they are. And as you have questions, pop them into the chat box. I will go back at certain breaks in our time and I will work through the questions. So first and foremost, our panelists. We have the lovely and talented Alice Farina. Alice, wave and say hi. There we go. We have the lovely and talented Miss Debbie Orr. Wave and say hi. We have the lovely and talented Mr. Chris DiBiase. Wave and say hi. We have the lovely and talented Miss Jackie Giordano. Wave and say hi to her little baby. And I think we also have the lovely and talented Mr. Christian Amon. Do we have Christian as well? Oh yes, wave and say hi. Hello, Christian. Right, am I missing anybody? Did Deb Lammerhurt get to join us? Do we have the lovely and talented Miss Deb Lammerhurt as well? I don't see her on my screen, but yes, we do. There she is. Excellent. All righty. So those are the folks that we're going to be hearing from today, because each of them is utilizing a certain aspect of command or all of command at a higher level than most of you are. And so we wanted you to be able to hear from them what they love about the system and how they're using it, and also how they kind of pushed through some of the earlier annoyances to get to where they are. Because I think if each of them were honest, and I'm going to ask each of them to be as honest as possible. If each of them were honest with you, they'd tell you honestly that they had struggle in the beginning too. They still have some annoyances and frustrations as they move forward, but the pros of what they're using this system for far outweigh those small cons. And I know that Jackie is with us in a more limited capacity today. And so I want to throw it to Jackie first to just talk a little bit about the bumps and glitches. Could you kind of get us started, Jackie, and chat about that?
Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Okay, so every piece of technology that we use in day-to-day life has bumps and glitches. So I want to start with that because I think some of the things that have helped put the bumps and glitches with command into perspective is cell phones. I always use this when I'm trying to talk to people about the problems and concerns that they're having. So if you think back to when cell phones came out, they were these clunky car phones that then turned into flip phones, to then those cute little figure 8 phones, we'll call them, and now to what we have with our Androids, iPhones, etc. And we need them to function in a day-to-day life, and you guys need them to run your businesses. What would happen without your cell phones? No one uses landlines anymore, right? And they're using our cell phones. We still have issues with those sometimes, so we don't always get phone calls. Apps might crash. Text messages might not come through. So if you look at how things have evolved over time and the fact that we work through those issues, I just want you to keep that in mind as you're working with command, because I think that's really important and an easy way for you to kind of look and compare things with it. So some of the glitches and bumps that I know some of you are still encountering that we've been saying from day one is you do still want to most of the time be using the incognito or private browsers when you're working in command. And you can accept the cookies when you're working in those. Otherwise, it'll store information and get stuck sometimes. So I think that's like my number one thing I'm going to say to you. The only exception to that, which is one of the bumps that I actually just hit a few weeks ago, is when you're working in real mailers. And when you're working in real mailers, in order to pull that data through for neighborhoods, because those real mailer postcards you're sending out through are amazing, is to actually not have it in incognito. Otherwise, it won't be able to pull that neighbor information for you. So my advice to you guys is keep it in incognito, and you're not going to get stuck as often, except for when you're using real mailers. And that's probably the biggest piece. It's going to help everything run more smooth for you. So that's probably the thing that we've run into the most. And I hope that's a helpful tidbit for you.
Yeah, it's awesome, Jackie. Thank you so much. And so to speak also to the page load issue, because I've heard a lot of things about it's slow, right? We were on a call on Monday where we got news via our region that Gary is well aware that the page load thing is an annoyance, right? And so he has gone to the developers right now and said, okay, guys, you have 30 days to fix this page load issue thing, because by the end of September, I want every page to load in less than 2 seconds, 99% of the time or better. And what's on the line for those developers is a portion of their budget that their bonuses comes out of, if in fact they don't meet that deadline. So Gary is well aware of what you're struggling with, because everyone is struggling with that page load issue, and he has now pushed the development team into that direction with a financial consequence if they don't hit it. Right. So another 30 days or so, you're going to start to see a smoother process, even in incognito mode, which is the first best strategy. Now we're going to see a smoother runtime with page loads. So know that they're working on that. Panelists, what else should we be talking about in terms of how you guys pushed through some of the early stuff to get to the cool stuff that you're going to talk about in a second? Go ahead, Debbie.
I'll say something from contacts that we just didn't know at first, and we uploaded our database and then found out that we had to have all the addresses in primary address and have the use as the mailing address button clicked in order to take the next step. And now that we're able to print mailing labels, we went through, and Sherry actually spent a lot of time pushing those buttons so that our past clients and the people we care about mailing to are able to receive it. So it took one extra step, but now the reward is huge.
Love it. Love it. What else, guys? Chris.
So I PySynced my phone to Command and had a ton of contacts and duplicates and triplicates. So that's annoying, obviously, but I just had to suck it up and clean it up, one by one. It doesn't need to be all done in one shot, just 5 a day. And eventually you'll get there and have it to where you have all your contacts where you want them and just cleaned up.
Chris, how many contacts was that for you?
I went from 400 to about 1,100. And then I probably have to clean up like 400 of those. A lot of it was just what's in my phone from throughout the years. You don't even know who people are. So I was just eliminating stuff that was garbage and trying to keep the gold in contacts. It took some time, but it's what you have to do.
Yeah, so that's a great comment, right? Because when you're working on getting your database into the system, what most people want is, I have it here, I just want to migrate it from here to there without having to touch it. And the reality is, the fact that you have to touch it is a good thing. You've got to flip that around and look at the fact that you now get to go through the data and, as Chris said, ditch the garbage and contact the non-garbage, right? If it were me, as I go through 10 a day, I'd make those my calls for the day to check in and do a care call or do whatever, because there's business to be had from the transition of your database. Go ahead, Christian.
All right, so I can talk about my experience with using Command. I'm a new agent. I've been Keller Williams for like, I think 1.5 years, 2 years now. So I didn't even use a CRM when I first joined. So I was very unorganized. My business is very, kind of spare of the moment type of thing. I joined productivity with Jen Henry, and I was looking at other agents, and they all take CRMs pretty seriously. So now I've taken Command seriously because I like to be organized and keep my business running smoothly. So for me, it really keeps me disciplined because you're able to put in tasks that as reminders to do follow-ups and whatnot. It keeps all my clientele organized in there, and I obviously use smart plans as well too to keep in touch with people that need follow-ups a year or two down the road. And I really like it because it keeps all the documents and things organized too, even though you have to use DocuSign as a separate tool for signing documents. So for me, yes, it was a challenge to start using Command in the beginning, but now that I've gotten used to it and I'm utilizing every single day, for me, it's actually working because it's helped me stay on task and it's helped me stay extremely organized.
So thank you for that, Christian, because what Christian just said is a really important point I want to underline for many of you on this call. For many of you on this call, the challenge about moving forward in Command has almost nothing to do with the technology itself. It has to do with you running your business differently than you have been, right? Christian said it best. Look, I was like seat in my pants, fly by night, do whatever, and now I've moved into some structure. And some of you struggle with moving from where you are into that structure, regardless of the technology platform. And so I think it's important for you to remember, again, we're here to create some perspective around this. Be reminded that some of your struggle is, I don't like the fact that I'm being pushed to do my business differently, right? And the only reason we're pushing you to do your business differently is because that difference is more efficient and effective long-term, right? Regardless of the technology platform you're moving forward on. What else, guys?
I have two points to that. What Chris said, I have spoken with people about, not even in real estate, but in any business, moving from one CRM to another. Everybody does the same thing. Oh my goodness, there's work involved. It's just part of the process. And again, the rewards are what you're looking for. Once you get through that, and I had an example this morning, I'm working through my database for about the 5th time to refine and get this into a very usable format. I added somebody who I haven't spoken to in 2 years probably, and I didn't have all her contact information, but I did have her email address. And I put her on a neighborhood nurture this morning, and by 10 o'clock this morning, I saw that she had looked at that neighborhood nurture and was checking out what was sent to her. That's the first contact I've had with her in 2 years. I mean, it was like that.
Nice, nice. And we're going to talk in a minute about neighborhood nurtures and the power of that for your database. Deb, did you have something to contribute to that?
Yes, I think having the messages come in, whether it has to do with the neighborhood or a person being on or wanting different information, is very, very powerful. Everything is right there telling you what you need to accomplish. It not necessarily then, but what you've set up for yourself usually. And I find that invaluable. I write little notes I used to write little notes to myself, and now I just look at the bell and it gives me all the information.
Love it, love it. Anybody else want to contribute from the how did I get through the initial bumpy stuff? Go ahead, Alice.
Well, that was my problem initially when I first joined Keller. It's going to be 2 years next month. I had all my contacts somewhere, and I tried to import them myself into the KW thing, and it didn't work. So I was very frustrated with that. So then Command came along, and I contacted Rupert, and they did it like in a half an hour. So that got me started in Command. Plus, I took every class that was offered. And I'm the type of person that I love to learn, and I will not let something best me if at all possible. So I use Command now every day I keep a tab open on my computer, and I love the smart plans. That's what I use mostly, a lot, besides the opportunities. So I have all my clients. I sat one day and put everybody's home anniversary in the smart plan. And I just love the fact that I can email somebody or call them or send them a card on their home anniversary. And I just got one back today. Somebody moved into her condo a year ago, and she said, oh, thank you for remembering. So it works. It really works. And I used it for my care calls. But anyway, you have to use it every day, even if it's just a little bit, especially the opportunities. I love that I can take my clients and move them from one stage to the other stage and check on the details and the forms once they're filled out, submit them to MC. But like anything else, you have to use it. You really do.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Well, thanks guys for getting us through to because I know what everyone's really looking for is the meat and potatoes, right? So let's do this. Let's dive into the meat and potatoes of today and share with your colleagues. What's that one thing that you want to talk about, how you use Command at a higher level that will give, because what we're looking to do is give people a taste of the things that they might be missing out on if they're stuck still in the early stages of kind of getting going, right? Because we're looking to have everyone excited about some of the higher level stuff to be able to push through the lower level stuff. Who wants to start and give us a thought? Go ahead, Chris.
So I find myself spending most of my time in contacts and opportunities. I think if it all boils down to it, that's the business. Like contacts is the people, and then you take the people and convert them to opportunities, and that equals money for you and your family and success for the client. So all the other stuff is bells and whistles. I think contacts is the heart of Command, and it pumps the blood to like all the other organs. And it just, if you don't have people in contacts, the rest of the system is basically useless. But it's fun to watch people go from contacts to opportunities to closed. And I basically say it's 3 C's: connect, convert, close.
I love what you just said, that contacts is the heart that pumps the blood to all the other things, because that really is true when you think about it, right? Your first step is to make sure that your contacts are in there, so then you can do something with those contacts, because each of the other higher level things require you to kind of start from there, or many of the other higher level things. I love that. And Chris, have you found that contacts and opportunities, utilizing that the way that you've just described, is, and Alice kind of described that as well, right? Moving people through a process, through a system. Have you guys found that has helped improve your business? And if so, how?
Without a doubt, it's more organized and efficient, because now I know I had them in one centralized place. I take them from contacts, put them into opportunities, and I guide them through the process of cultivation, searching, showing, etc. So I know I can look at that and see where my business is and project income. And it's fun to watch as more people you add to contacts and then convert them to opportunities, that number of potential income grow. It's like a game.
So you know how political campaigns listen to somebody speak and take like 2 or 3 words out of it and spin an entire commercial out of 2 or 3 words, right? Whether it's relevant or not. I'm going to take those 5 words that Chris just used. It's fun. It's like a game, and make a big commercial out of growing your business in Command out of those 5 words. It's fun. It's like a game. It's fun. It's like a game. Alice, do you agree with that in terms of contacts and opportunities?
Yes, absolutely. Like I said before, I'm working like with 3 buyers, and I've just been taking them, you just use your cursor and just move them from active to show properties, to make an offer, to negotiate, and then just end to the end, the finish line, close. And it's fulfilling, I think.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. We're going to add fulfilling to that commercial.
Rick?
Yes.
I'm going to point out what Chris said, organized. That is so key for our business, just because so much falls between the cracks, and also all in one place. That's really what I love the best.
Can
Perfect.
I ask
Yes.
a follow up to that, Deb, or to on what Deb just said, Rick?
Yeah, of course.
How many people on this call, just a show of hands, have ever had a client or potential client that they found out bought a property or sold their house through another agent? Show of hands.
Yeah,
Right?
and the rest of you are lying.
Yeah, okay, so the rest of you are liars. Good to know, right? Because here's the thing: is especially like as you get whether you're busy or not busy or whatever you have going on in your life, there's always people that you're going to lose track of, right? Unless you have a way of systematically keeping that organized, right? And the reality of it that I know from talking to agents every single day is that most agents don't have a system for how they keep themselves organized, or they think they do. It might be as simple as just having a notebook, right? Or something on their phone, a list that they keep, except the better your system, the better system you use to keep yourself organized, the more opportunities you're going to have, right? So I love that, Chris. And the other question I'd like to ask any of our panelists were, what were you using to do that before Command, right? And what kind of difference are you seeing? Were you using another CRM? Were you not using a CRM at all? Like what was that like? And what are some of those differences?
I will say I've used Top Producer for 25 years. And anybody who has ever been on my team, Stephen Scott, was always a Top Producer not endorsed. No, yeah, right? No way, Jose. So we would try to use it with systems, but nobody used the systems. Command is built to collaborate, and I love. I mean, you don't lose track of the people. You don't lose track of the steps in the transaction, no matter how many transactions you're monitoring, because you've got tasks in every single step that you go into and check on a regular basis. The team works on this every single day to make sure we didn't forget to take the sign down or didn't forget to check the field for the town hall stuff, or didn't forget to call the attorney and check on the whatever. Those things are all there to remind you. The thing is, it doesn't happen all by itself. You create it and then you look at it.
Yeah,
And then it works for you.
That gets back to the whole concept that this platform was built by agents for agents in this company, right? We worked collaboratively over 2 years to create it and spending $1 billion. Whereas, I mean, Top Producer and other CRMs, they're made by a bunch of geeks locked in a room somewhere. They don't know how real estate works. So the ease of it is so different compared to Top Producer, as Debbie said.
Okay, and so at the risk of this sliding into a Command commercial, because that is not the point of the day today, right? I want to keep us focused on what awesome piece of the system are you using? Let me restate that. What piece of the system do you use that you think is awesome, that's creating a difference in your business? Who wants to talk about one of them?
Deb Lamahert. I would love to hear Deb Lamahert tell her story about her Facebook ads.
I really just discovered this morning when I had to do a little research on my ads. And I realized that my next 4 transactions are all as a result of Facebook ads. 2 were open houses and the other 2 were just, hey, move to the country. And I'm just totally amazed because they're fairly good sized listings, and it just all came together. Now I got to find some more listings.
So let me get this straight. You were running kind of generic Facebook ads through Command, and you attracted leads that turned into either signed buyers or signed listings that have now taken offers and are moving towards closing, all sourced from your Facebook ads.
Yes. I've always done Facebook ads, but it's so much easier to do it in Command. You don't have necessarily as much options, but I found you really don't need it. The ease of putting it together, it's phenomenal. You just put it, all the pieces are there. All you have to do is put it together, and takes me about 5 minutes to put an ad together. Whereas when I went on Facebook, their manager changed all the time. And that was very, very difficult to do. So I would spend sometimes hours. But I looked back today and saw that each one of those brought in, I brought in buyers, and one of which was mine. So it's great. And my sellers, I advertise my sellers listings anyway, but I never connected that it could be so tremendous.
So let me ask you this question, just so we can give people what's in their heads. I can read your minds, guys. On average, what is your cost per lead when you run Facebook ads? Do you know, just on average?
I really don't. One of the last runs I made for the first transaction that came together, I got 60 leads from Facebook, and I only ever spend $30. Sometimes it's the exact 10 days. Sometimes it's 8 or 9, depending on when I can place the ad. But that's one of the higher ones. But I usually get between 15 and 30 leads. And they all come with names, email addresses, and phone numbers. Those aren't necessarily accurate, but many of them are. I am surprised. And I put them on drip programs. I have a special one for what was the lakefront property. I have special ones for other country estates, and I put them on a drip program, which I have repeating. And many of them are open them up, so they're still considering the option. Now, like I said, I'm going to have to get more listings.
And so the four closings that you have, what's the total volume of those 4 closings, round figures?
Oh my gosh, let's see. Million.
2 million?
3,600,000.
Okay, so $3.5 million. I'm just doing some quick math, guys. So Deb traded, even if you quadruple her cost per lead, right? For those 4 leads, she spent about $8 or $10 and will make almost 90, maybe 80, 85, depending on the commission rate. Right. So I just want you to see the power of what we're talking about. Right. And it's not make believe. It's not willy nilly. Right. And so I don't want to make this a Facebook conversation either. So I'm going to move to who has the next high level thing that we want to talk about, because we're fast running out of time. So who has the next high level thing?
Can I ask one question around that though, Rick?
Not about Facebook ads at the moment. Pop it in the chat and we'll cycle back to it. Who has the next high level conversation? What are you using Command for?
So I will go to Neighborhood Nurtures again. And what I do with them is everybody who is a prospect goes on, and everybody actually is going on a Neighborhood Nurture. We're still working through it. But every prospect goes on a Neighborhood Nurture. I got a call in for a listing a month ago, and I still haven't met these people. I delivered my package to them in their mailbox, my pre-listing, and I put them on a Neighborhood Nurture. I'm preparing now to take the paperwork to sign up the listing. And this morning I went in and set up a new Smart View. Smart Views are brilliant for a way to sort your contacts. And we can talk about that later. But this Smart View starts with last visited. The field in the first column is last visited. So I put in the last 15 days, who's been coming into my site, responding to the Neighborhood Nurtures, looking at anything. And her name popped up. So I thought, what's this? So I go in and look at what she looked at. You can see what she looked at. It turns out she looked at 2 listings that I had not put in my listing presentation for her. Well, guess what? They're in there now. And one of them I couldn't find. So in the timeline, you see the listing address. I clicked on the listing address of this one, and the reason I couldn't find it was a lot, a raw piece of land in her neighborhood. And she had chosen to look at that. So, now I get to go into my listing presentation tomorrow, knowing things that she doesn't necessarily know I know, and looking like I can read her mind. I'm so excited.
So what you're saying is the neighborhood nurture you set that person up on allows you some insight into what they're really thinking and what they're looking for to prep you to have more information when you're sitting in front of them.
P.S. Everybody in your database, whether it's 10 people, 100 people, or 10,000 people, everybody should be on a neighborhood nurture. At least.
Now, so there's been some questions about neighborhood nurtures, right? The neighborhood nurtures, the neighborhood isn't perfect. It's not exactly what I would consider the neighborhood. I want to send people information on a whole town. What do you have to say to that? Are there other areas that we can use for the town? Because I have some ideas on that as well. And what should we be using the neighborhood nurtures for instead of trying to make it something it's not?
Any of the rest of you? I just get as close as I can to it. And you can do multiple neighborhoods. You don't have to be limited to one neighborhood. Click on multiple neighborhoods. The thing about it is, I'd love to show you what it looks like, and come to Command Users next week or sometime. We'll show you this. It's a beautiful delivery that people get, and oh, by the way, they can edit it once they get it. So I'll tell you, with a neighborhood nurture on Facebook ads, I've had people call me and say, I don't know why you're sending me houses in Reading. I'm interested in wherever. Well, the reason I'm sending them houses in Reading is that's what they clicked on in the Facebook ad. So they called and said, well, I'm interested in something else. Is that a good thing to have happen? Yes.
Yeah, right. Because then in case the rest of you aren't filling in the blank on that, you just switch it.
Right, exactly. Right? And so who cares? I mean, you can't think too much like an agent. You've got to think more like a buyer or a seller.
Yeah, that's probably one of those things we need to stitch into a pillow as well, right? A lot of us get stuck in what we think people want. This system is designed to deliver what people want, not what we think people want. And so let me give just another tag onto this neighborhood nurture conversation. If you're looking for information on a town-wide basis to send to people, there are other parts of that system that make sense for you to use other than the neighborhood nurture, right? The first thing you can use is the listing book version of the KW Consumer app, right? Now you're setting people up to find properties in the town that they want to find. Everyone knows that listing book is no longer, right? Elevate costs money, and you have a buyer instant notification system built into the KW Consumer app that you can utilize inside of your own command platform. If you didn't know that, write that down, because some of you have expressed concern to me that listing book doesn't exist anymore and you have to pay for Elevate. You have your own. You can just use that inside of the consumer app. We're already putting that on as one of the Tuesday or Thursday tech classes next week, so watch for that. That will come out, that information will come out tomorrow as to when we're teaching you that. The second idea I have is, I don't know what they're called, so maybe one of the panelists can tell me what they're called, but we have these awesome videos. They're like cartoony-like videos that can be designed per town, right? So if you want to send something out for Darien, you just click on the zip code for Darien and say, make this cool little video, and it pulls all the data from Darien as a town, median sale price and averages and days on market, all that kind of stuff, and makes it into this cool little like Saturday morning cartoon video that you can then pop out. What is that called? Anybody know what that's called?
Market videos. It's very
cool. Well, there you go. Market videos, right? So you can utilize market videos for that instead of the neighborhood nurture, right? The neighborhood nurture is more about connecting with your database. The videos and the consumer app are more about actively working with clients, right? And so it's starting to understand all the different pieces of the system and how you would use each for a specific task, right? Ooh, Alex gave us animatics. I love that. Animatics. What else? Chris, what are you using Command at a high level for that we should know about?
I'd say tags within contacts. So I have tags for a lot of different things. And I think it's good to be specific so you can track, you can easily filter through and see a portion of your database based on exactly what you're looking for. So I have a tag for basically any smart plan I've created. Like if they're on a home anniversary smart plan, they have a tag for that. So I can know who in my database is on that smart plan. And if they're not, I need to add them if they've, bought or sold. I also have tags for, like, if it was a referral, I'll say referral, and then I'll put the name of the person as another tag for referred by, so I know who's sending the referrals and stuff like that. Same thing with vendors, everything. If you're a father, if you're a mother, you can sort by that, so reach out to them on Mother's Day or Father's Day. I think tags is the way to go for sure.
Love it. Love it. Thank you for that. And so one of the things that Chris said, one of the terms he just used is smart plans. And I'd like for someone to talk about smart plans. And the first thing I'd like somebody to do is define what a smart plan is. Because most of the people on this call have heard us use the term smart plan, but don't really know exactly what it is. So let's define it first. And then if one or a couple of you can tell us how you're using smart plans and how that's creating better business for you, that would be very helpful.
So a smart plan is essentially a drip campaign. And it's a list, and it's a set of automated steps that follow the next. In other words, today could be a text or an email, and you designate it on what to do, and it'll automatically continue to do it for the lifetime of however long that smart plan is. It can be a 5-day smart plan. It could be a 60-day smart plan, depending on what you do and the steps you ask the system to take. It's another word for a drip campaign.
Yeah.
So there's your definition, right? So it's a drip campaign. It's a drip campaign either for you or for others.
And it can be a combination of emails and text messages.
So Rick, my favorite smart plan that we have, and I've said this when we used to teach classes, is the birthday one, because everybody today is so used to just putting a Facebook post out or something like that, but it sets you up with a reminder so you can send a card, call them, text them, and still do something on social media. So it sets you apart probably more than most other people with the way we're set up with technology these days.
Love it. What else? How are you guys using those smart plans, either the birthday one or the open house follow-up or any of the smart plans that exist or that you've created to win and close more business? Go ahead, Alice.
Well, as I had said before, I put a neighborhood smart plan for every client I ever sold a house to. And they get that, I think it comes out every 10 days because I put one on for myself. So I know that they are going out and I get one. And I also did them for the home anniversaries because I could never remember when somebody bought a house. And I always thought that was a way, obviously, of staying connected. And when I see a neighborhood come up or somebody I sold a house to, I immediately email them and say, hey, listen, did you know that this house came on in your market? In your neighborhood? And then I send them another email and say, hey, did you know that now has an accepted offer? And did you know that it now closed? So that keeps me more in control of my database and my past clients. So I can sort of, maybe they want to sell now, and they'll reach out. So that's how I'm using my smart plans.
Love it. Who else?
I have a smart plan that I send to everyone that I've closed, not from forever, just over the past 6 months that I've closed with. Kind of touches, and often I get questions about a house in their neighborhood or whatever. But it keeps you front and center. I also have created smart plans for the ads that I run. So when I do get leads, I have a specific smart plan to go with that ad. And you can set it up to rerun. So it can run 3 times, 4 times, whatever you want. So, but those I get people to say, well, I wasn't just interested in that type of house. I'm also interested in other things. So you're getting conversation and communication, which is important.
Right. So what Deb just said is really crazy important. So I hope you noticed it. Right. Because now we're talking about each of these things living separately. And what Deb just did is she kind of shoved 2 of them together. Right. So now she's running these Facebook ads, and as the leads come in from the Facebook ad, she's immediately putting them on smart plans so that the entire responsibility of follow-up is leveraged for her, right? That's what I heard. I heard leveraged follow-up, because now the smart plan is doing a lot of your follow-up and creating a conversation that you're a part of, but that you don't necessarily have to do every single piece of. And that moves people along through that pipeline to come out the other end as actual business opportunities. And clearly, Deb is connecting these dots because she's the one who has her next 4 closings connected to the system she's using inside of Command, right? So I think it's really important at a high level to see how each of these pieces start to connect and help you grow a business and make more money. What else with smart plans, guys?
So the other thing is, Alex gave us animatics. I'm going to give you auto magic. These things turn into automated magic. And you, Rick, said the other day, you were telling us that you felt that in these days we need to touch our active clients 5 times a week. And I could see everybody's face drain of color completely, because it's like 5 times a week. Are you kidding me? Use a smart plan. You can do 3 of those touches with a smart plan every single week. A text, an email, another text, and then you just have to make 2 phone calls.
And sometimes we're like, oh man, what if like Deb said something really important, that you can rerun the smart plans. And if you look at a really cool feature in the smart plans, I don't want to geek out on it, but it has a static or a dynamic, and then dynamic allows you to send a different text message, because the system knows that you just sent a text message that said one thing, and you don't want to seem like a robot, so you don't want to repeat itself. And so the system says, okay, you just sent this message, let me not send this message again, let me change it. And it gives you several that it can automatically, not you're not the one who's saying, okay, I'm going to choose this one. It automatically goes on to the next one, so that you don't look like a robot on the thread saying, hey, the weekend is coming up, do you want to go see Homes? Hey, the weekend's coming up, do you want to go see Homes? Hey, do you want to go see Homes? You know?
So let me ask this. Thank you for that, Carlos, because it's important to remember that for those of you who worry about, I'm like banging people over the head with the same message over and over and over again, what Carlos just said should ease your mind about that, right? And Carlos will teach you a class on exactly how to enable that dynamic version of that so that you don't have to worry about that. See that, Carlos, who gave us great information and volunteered to teach the class all at the same time. So let me ask this question. Dan, where's Dan? Dan, you use smart plans a lot. And so could you give us, and if please don't give us a recruiting version, maybe translate it into a listings or a sales version. Tell us your most successful smart plan and why it's been successful for you, even if you have to kind of change the reference a little bit. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is I use smart plans to touch the people that I'm not able to touch on a regular basis, right? Like, so if you're somebody that has a big database of like just a lot of people that have come in to you from different places and you have no idea who some of them are, right? Like, we have 1,400 agents in what I consider our market area, right? There's no, like, it's really hard for me to consider trying to touch all of those people in a significant way, right? in a one-on-one call or something along those lines. So I use smart plans to kind of touch large groups of people. And I think that's one of the things that you could do from an agent standpoint. If you have a lot of contacts that you're not sure where they came from, if you're not sure who they are, you've never really gotten any kind of response from them or anything else, you know what? There are smart plans in Command already that you could use. Or if you wanted to like kind of figure out something very simple, you know, talk to any of the leadership in your office, talk to any of the people who have been featured on this call today, and develop maybe a 5 or 6 touch, you know, smart plan that you could come up with that would all be automated, right? So you don't have to do anything to it, and add huge groups of those people to it at you know, in one shot. And if anything, what it'll do is it will eliminate all of the people that you don't have to worry about anymore, right? You could create a 6 touch program that's, you know, alternating text and emails, maybe over a 3 to 4 week period, and find out who are these people, right? Are they still interested? Are they even in the area? If they unsubscribe, that means you can essentially just eliminate them from your database, right? Like, so there's, you know, that's I think one way like of doing it. And then the other is the way, you know, are some of the ways that, you know, a lot of these agents have mentioned already today as follow-ups for people who have come in that you're not able to get that initial contact with, and like Facebook ads. You know, I know Chris uses them has used them for a bunch of old Zillow leads that he had, that he didn't really had never gotten any kind of response from. I don't know, Chris, if you want to talk a little bit about that, because I know you actually finally had a dead Zillow lead actually kind of come to life recently. So yeah, I mean, I think those are some of the really simple systems that you can use smart plans for. I mean, heck, I use smart plans for one-off stuff sometimes. If I want to send out a mass text message, say maybe to the market center, to all of our agents, I can have a smart plan that I just set up as one step, and it's just a text message. Or, you know, if it's something maybe around Bold Pivot, I don't remember if any of the agents in the Ridgefield Market Center remember getting texts and emails from me about Bold Pivot when it was happening a few months back. But guess what? That was a smart plan, right? I'll set smart plans up for our ALC to remind them of our ALC meetings, you know, which would be text messages and emails, right? And they're just 2 or 3 steps that happen over a week span. You could do the same thing for pretty much anything. It's just, what could I automate so that I don't have to think about it, right? What would I want to automate that I like? What kind of, you know, reminders or things like that, right? And you can set them up, and they're really simple to create.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there, Dan, because I want to.
Yeah,
we're running out of time. And so Chris, is that true that a dead Zillow lead came back to life via a smart plan?
Yeah, I set it up when the pandemic hit. I called it the Online Reconnect Smart Plan. I sent out like 2 texts around how I can be of service. What can I do for you if you or your family needs anything during this time? And I transitioned that into, I want to add positivity to your life with the motivational weekly text smart plan. So now they just continuously get that. Some people unsubscribe, some never answer. I'll tell you what, I get so many responses of smiley faces or heart emojis or that was awesome. That just leads to conversations. And, you know, it's that weekly touch. I'm in front of them. I'm not even speaking about real estate, but they know it because in my sign off, it says, you know, realtor, the real estate artist, my name, etc.
Brilliant. Love it. I have a question that Debbie, I want to just push to you because I know that you did that Call in to Win program a week or 2 ago, right? And that Call in to Win program yielded you about 80 or 90 or so inbound phone calls from your database and from external that boiled down to 3 actual leads. I think it was 2 seller leads and a buyer lead, or 2 buyer leads and a listing lead, right? So 3 actual leads from that program. And what my question to you is, can you just talk quickly about how you utilized the systems inside of Command for mass emailing and mass texting that drove those people to call you?
You mean my mass text that I sent out at 5:15 when people are sleeping? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so there's a tidbit. Make sure it's after 8 on the mass texting.
So yes, I did. First of all, we designed our mail out and our social media campaign in Designs in Command. And then we used the SMS, the mass bulk texting to remind people. We obviously made phone calls, and we used Facebook campaigns as well. We put a couple of Facebook campaigns out. We had, I think, 15 Facebook leads that came in from there, and some of these random Facebook leads who called in the day of the call-in. So it's new leads that are in the database for that.
So remember that you have a system that not only does mass emailing to your database, but connected through an app called Twilio can do mass texting, right? And that's really crazy important for those of you who are stumped by how to touch your database in a way that's relevant today. Well, mass texting may be that path for you.
Can I make a quick announcement about Twilio? Because this is one of the biggest. This is one of the biggest objections that we get, or complaints that we get about Twilio, is that you can't use your own cell phone number and that the text messages don't come to your cell phone. I personally don't really care about that so much. I actually prefer that they don't come to my cell phone because I'm texting so many people. I would rather have them go to command so I can just kind of go into command and then respond, like time block that, right? However, if you are using Twilio currently, you would have gotten an email yesterday from KW saying that that Twilio and commands interface is changing, and you'll now be able to forward your Twilio contacts and your Twilio number to a mobile device of your choice. So you actually will have the ability to receive all of those text message responses and everything that come in through those right on your cell phone, so that it comes to your number. So I just want to let you know that is something that, they did hear you, and it's something that they're making happen. So just a heads up on.
Love that. Right. And so let's because we're fast running out of time. We have 15 minutes left, right? I promised 75 minutes. We're at 60. So we have 15 minutes left. I want to make sure that all of the questions are answered. Is there any other high-level system that any of you are dying to talk about? Right, because Jackie just gave me one in the chat that I'll throw out there. Maybe you guys can talk about it a little bit. Debbie, go ahead.
We haven't talked at all about landing pages.
And that was the one Jackie put out there. So thank you for bringing it up.
Did she say that? Yeah, landing pages are magic. Oh my gosh, they're so awesome. You can use landing pages for anything. And oh, by the way, for those of you who haven't been in the business for 10 years, we used to pay minimally $25 per landing page to promote our properties. I mean, yikes.
In 10 words or less, what is a landing page?
It's basically a one-page website, and you can make it do anything. We use it for our no-touch public open house registrations. It includes the listing, a neighborhood search, and an application or an invitation to our app. The consumer app is another thing that's like, oh my God. And it's fabulous. It can be anything. It can be just, you can put a video in it. It's like, and it's so easy. It's like boom, 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 5 minutes, you're done. And it can go any place. It can go on Facebook. It can go in an email. It can go on, I don't know, any place you want it to go.
Love it.
And
love it.
If you
Go ahead, Deb.
personalize that title on that landing page, it will collect search engine attention.
Excellent. Right. So these are all the high level conversations that are being had by many of your colleagues about how they're utilizing this system, right? And what we hope we accomplished today, and I'm getting to the questions in about 30 seconds, what I hope we accomplished today was to kind of whet your appetite to say, wow, you know what, I kind of feel like I'm missing out on a bunch of really high level, effective business tools by shying away and not slogging through the setup stuff, right? Let's face it, the setup to anything is annoying. But what if we got on the other side of annoying and started to use these things at a really high level? I'm gonna slide all the way back to the top, answer a couple of questions, and then give you a lead out.
Hey, Rick, I just wanted to say really quick that remember everyone on this call that you're not alone, and a lot of this stuff is already there. Smart plans, there are tons of smart plans ready to go. Even if it's not on command, you can reach out to me and I can send you 10 buyer smart plans if you want to, and you tweak them to your own liking. So you don't have to create this from the ground up. People have done this already.
Great point. Great point. Let's not reinvent the wheel, right? So right at the top, Patricia Hood, who can we get called to get help, right? So I'll answer that question in two ways. First and foremost, I would challenge you to not come to the sessions, because I would say that if you're having an issue, someone else is having the same issue. So by coming to the sessions and throwing out that issue, you're not just helping yourself, you're helping other people. If it really is truly a personal issue, a separate issue, a one-on-one issue, right now we have a couple of people in each market center that are the go-to people. We're going to be sending all that out to you in the next 24 to 48 hours, along with everyone who was on this call today is going to be put into a pilot program for one-on-one assistance to get you to the next step from where you are, and then take you to the next step after that. If you didn't choose to be on this call today, you have to wait, because you guys are getting the first crack at this one-on-one pilot program that we're creating. That pilot program is still in its infancy stages. We are figuring it out. Literally, we jumped out of the airplane and are knitting our parachute on the way down, right? And so we will have news for you by this time next week about how we're going to actually structure that, right? So watch for an email for contacts in your market center for one-on-ones now, and watch for more information next week about a one-on-one kind of mentoring program that we're designing to help you through each of your issues. If you're okay, we did that. Kimberly's question. My question is regarding agent referrals. So the agent referral network. We didn't talk about the agent referral network. Does somebody on our panel know the answer to this question? When the referral comes in through Kelly, we also didn't talk about Kelly. Let me say a word and a half about Kelly. If I were you, and I may get daggers for this statement, but if I were you and you're struggling moving into command, forget about Kelly for now.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about Kelly for now. Kelly will come in later. Get your contacts and your opportunities up and running and functional. Kelly comes in later. She's an advanced part of the program. I know we all started with Kelly, right? Because that's what we were asked to do. But now I'm telling you, don't worry about Kelly. Dive into your contacts and your opportunities. So when referrals come into the referral network, they come in through Kelly. The client's automatically added to the contacts, the referral. So you know what? Is there an easier way to get information about the referral into the contact? Kimberly, we're going to have so go ahead, Dan, if you can answer that quickly, go for it.
So you're talking about kind of two different things. The first is actually getting the contact information. The second is actually like getting, is using the opportunity. And so the very simple answer is no. Currently, the referral platform is not connected to the opportunities portion or the compliance portion of command. And this is something that they have said since the very beginning, that the referral network is supposed to be an easy way to send and receive, to find people and to send and receive referrals, but it is not a compliance thing. So sending and having an accepted referral through the referral network is not a guarantee of payment. And the main reason for that is because every state has licensing laws and laws around what that looks like. Every brokerage, because we're independently owned franchise, has different forms that need to be filled out and things like that. So you still need to you should still be getting a referral form signed by the sending and receiving brokers for that referral. I know it's an annoying like second step, but the way I kind of look at it is the referral platform is a way to drive referrals. It does, not necessarily the actual platform for you to actually conduct the actual business. So you would still need to put that information into the opportunity and into Command. Now, that with all of that being said, the plan is for that to be integrated into the compliance and into the opportunities. It's just not there yet. So use the referral platform for what it is, a way to drive referral business to your business and to others. I'll say it's been really good for me. I have a lot of New York and a lot of Boston area family people, right? Family and friends. And so I use it all the time. It's now giving me a really easy way of talking to those people about real estate and picking up referral business from them, and finding KW agents in those areas to help them. So, use it for that, but don't expect to use it from an actual compliance standpoint and getting paid standpoint. All right. If that makes sense. Does that answer your question?
And if you want, it does answer the question, I think. And Kimberly, if it doesn't, reach out after the fact and we'll get you an answer to that question.
Yeah.
The idea of, because Dan brings up one other thing that I want to mention before we finish. If something's not going the way you expect it or would like to see it inside of Command, there's an outlet for you, right? Don't sit at home and grumble that it doesn't do what you want it to do. Tell the designers what you want it to do. Somebody asked a question the other day about the address and the contact thing. You have to dig deeper for it. Why isn't it just part of the regular contact? And so we had a conversation around it, went on, and Dan, if you can put in the chat box where they go to send that information, that would be helpful. We went on where you go to talk to the developers about that kind of thing, and it's the number 2 thing that they're currently working on, right? They're going to move that up so that you can see it differently. So just know where you go to as an outlet for that, to say, I'd like to see this different. And as more and more people say yes and yes to that, they move it up and they take care of it, right? What kind of landing page do you use for Facebook ads? Did we answer that, Carol, or did we not answer that? I think we answered that.
So I would.
Or how to create it too.
So creating it, come to class. Yeah.
Command Users does a lot in landing pages. We can do another Facebook landing page. The other thing is next week I want to show so many things. The listing presentation that Marty Miller showed us earlier this week is awesome. It's fabulous. I'm using it for the first time this week. And the other thing, is the app. The app is beyond fabulous. Fabulous. And there are some tricks to it. Next Command Users Group, which I think is going to be on Wednesday because I'm away on Thursday.
Okay, so Kathy asks, is there a better or different response versus text smart plans versus email smart plans? Any of you who have done both, have you seen different results that you can report back?
I tend to get way more responses, whether positively or negatively, from the text messages than I do the emails. That's just been my experience. It seems like Debbie agrees with me as well, but I do tend to get more responses from the text messages. I think it's just a better way of communicating, a more, appropriate way of communicating nowadays with the way people just generally communicate, get through to people better. But
do we know when the Twilio thing will be finalized? Yes, no, or a date?
There was no timeline on the email, but what I do know is that you won't know about that change unless you're already using Command in Twilio. So you do need to have a Twilio account, and you need to have it connected in Command through the marketplace in order to, that's the only reason why I got that update. But yeah.
That was a lot longer than yes, no, or date, but okay, thank you. It's good info. All right, and so I think that's everybody's questions. Here's how we'll finalize. Again, today was supposed to give you perspective, right? It was supposed to answer any kind of nagging questions that you might have had, which I hope we saw in the chat box. It was to announce to you that because you participated today, and by the way, the only person I don't know who is on here is someone by the name of Owner. So whoever Owner is, if you can just put owner equals and your name in the chat box, everyone else, I have you on the attendance roster. So owner, if you want to participate in the mentoring program that we're launching, please give us who you are, or else I have no way to know to contact you. We wanted to make sure you knew that because you came today, you get special treatment, which means you'll be the first group to run through our new one-on-one, and that will be taking you from wherever you are. If you've never touched Command, we will help you touch it. If you touched it and you got frustrated, we'll help you be less frustrated. If you're kind of moving through and advanced and already kind of using the system, will help you take it to the next level and start to do some of the things you heard your colleagues talk about to be able to really get the benefits back. We didn't even talk about the KW Consumer app today. We didn't talk about other pieces of this system that are really quite fabulous for you to be using. Again, I am not the best Command advocate, because I'm going to be one of those people who is going through the step-by-step process of learning, just like many of you. And yet what I can tell you is that I get to spend time on a national and international level with people who are utilizing this platform that was designed for you at the highest levels possible and creating millions of dollars of commission income with what we talked about today. And so again, my hope is that what you recognize is that you, whether you liked it or not, ended up being pioneers. Gary kind of just assumed that you were on board for that. He didn't really ask, he just made the assumption. And when you're pioneers, like sometimes you have to use the nasty outhouse until the indoor plumbing is ready, right? And yet it's exciting being a pioneer, because you're the first person to ever see the Rocky Mountains. You're the first person to climb to the top and see the possibilities of the West. You're the first people out there to claim the gold, right? Sometimes you have to prepare for these conversations. And so the idea of being pioneers should be exciting. I know there are frustrations along with it, and no one is minimizing the frustrations. Truly no one. Certainly not me. And yet what I want to challenge you to do is to say, courage. The definition of courage is to feel the fear and do it anyway, right? That's what courage is about. And so what I'm challenging you to do is be frustrated. It's okay to be frustrated if the page doesn't load fast enough. But be frustrated and push through it anyway, because when you push through it, what I hope your colleagues painted a picture for you of today is the high level picture of what this can look like once you really plug in. Guys, watch for more, because we want to be certain that you're utilizing this at the highest level possible to get the best business bang for your buck. If once you learn and push through the learning process, you still don't like it and you still fall into the I hate Command category, then by all means, you get to go and use something else, right? No one's forcing you to use this for all these high level things, right? That is all we have time for today. Guys, thank you so much for being on. I hope this was helpful, and I hope it gave you the perspective necessary to encourage you to take the next steps. Watch for information from us as we move through the next couple of days for your one-on-one. Have a great afternoon, and I look forward to seeing many of you. I see faces that I'm seeing this afternoon in my one-on-ones. I look forward to seeing you all soon, and be sure to join Dan and the rest of the gang tomorrow at 9:00 a.m. for your team leader town hall. Bye-bye.